Well, okay. Welcome to the Arsenal show. We are live. It's transfer deadline day. Deals are getting done. Jorginho signed, just been announced by Arsenal. And we have just been told that Sambi Lokonga to Crystal Palace on loan is a done deal. He will be joining Crystal Palace for the remainder of the season. In my eyes, it's a solid move for Sambi Lokonga. It's top work for Arsenal. They need to get him out on loan. He needs to get game time. So we'll be discussing that. We will also be discussing how you think Arsenal have done so far in this transfer window. And we'll be touching a little bit on another man or a young man who's been doing excellently in the French league and scored an equaliser against them on the weekend. It is Florent Balogun. I'm joined by Jerome Marks and Steve K. How you doing, boys?
Yeah, good, mate. Good, mate. Glad for the rest. I could just sit down and have an hour of relaxation.
I don't know about that.
I'm still at work for everybody in case anything happens in the last minute. So
exactly.
There.
How you doing, Jerome?
Yeah, fine. All good, thanks. All good.
All right. So while it's fresh, while it's hot off the press, Steve, Sambi Lokonga on loan to Crystal Palace. Good move. First of all, is there any more? Is there any more to this that you might know?
No. I mean, I heard the news quite very early this morning. It went very quiet for quite a long while, and I wondered what was going on. But he was having his medical. It must have been a very long medical because it, as I said, it just literally went very, very quiet. But no, you've already said it there. It's a year's loan until the end of the season. And I think it's a very good move. I think Crystal Palace is a great club for him to go to. If you want to sort of put it on similarities a little bit, you look at Conor Gallagher, and what Crystal Palace did for him there. And of course, he's got Patrick Vieira there, who I think is an excellent manager, to make him get even better than what he is, or bring out of him the potential that I think we all know he's got. That but he just needs to get it out, and I think Patrick Vieira is the perfect man to do that.
Yeah, I agree. Jerome, what's your thoughts on the loan deal to Crystal Palace? Right side to be joining?
Yeah, I think so. Firstly, he's at Arsenal. He hasn't really been getting any Premier League minutes at all, so he's got to go somewhere and play, basically. And sometimes we've seen our players playing in different countries, different leagues. But if we really think that Sambi has got a future at Arsenal, I think the best thing would be to get him playing against Premier League clubs every week.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully under Vieira, hopefully he'll be doing that. So good move. Good move.
Yeah, no, I fully agree there as well. Steve, do you feel that this could potentially be? I know we want to get him game time for the remainder of the season, but do you see if there's interest in Sambi Lokonga that they would either cash in on him in the summer, or maybe look to give him a loan from the start of the season next season?
Definitely not the first part. I don't think there's no way from what I'm hearing that Arsenal are going to sell him. Not in a million years. From what I've been told, they rate the player incredibly highly. Mikel Arteta thinks that he could be in the next 2-3 years' time a £60 million player. And who's to argue with Mikel Arteta? I mean, if he says that, if he sees that in him, he said the same thing about William Saliba, and look where William Saliba is now. At the beginning of his career in France, we had people who were having a go at him and saying he wasn't good enough too early. but in the end he thrived. And so trusting in Mikel, he says that he definitely won't be going. As far as, I mean, there is a possibility that at the end of the season it might be a good idea, to give him another loan, depending on how he's doing. If he's doing really well in Palace and he's growing, and we're seeing the progression from him, then yeah, you keep him there, him there. But there's no way this guy. I've seen a few people say, sell him. He's not. He's not going anywhere. He's not being sold. So let's get behind him, and good luck to him. And I'm sure we'll do brilliantly at Palace.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. What's your thoughts on that, Jerome? Would you, if he had a good second half to the season at Palace, would you look to potentially from the start of the season say go and have a full season on loan and come back, or is it potentially a chance to then start to integrate him?
Yeah, I think. Well, obviously he was bought by Arsenal with the intention of him eventually, becoming an important first team player. So I think in an ideal world, they would love for that to still be the case. But I think he's, like we said, he's just got to play and see how these next few months go at Palace, see what he's like, and then reassess it again in pre-season, I suppose, because you want, whether he plays for Arsenal or another club, it's in his interest, in everyone's interest, for him to go and do very well at Palace and increase his sort of either value or status in the game, so that there'll be sort of options moving forward in terms of playing in our team, or something else. But yeah, he's got to play basically.
Yeah, no, I agree. Before we go on, I've just because the transfer news there, I've completely skipped and messed up my itinerary, but we will go back to the start. Arsenal played Manchester City last Friday. Unfortunately, they got knocked out of the cup, a 1-0 loss. Jerome, what were your thoughts on the game?
So going into the game, just sitting there watching it, it was probably the most relaxed, calm I've been watching an Arsenal game for ages. To be honest with you, every Premier League game this season has felt so tense and there's been so much on the line that it's like you're sitting there on the edge of your seat, like your heart's going a million miles an hour watching it. Whereas this game, I was very, very calm watching it. And in terms of how we played, I thought first half they were brilliant, Arsenal. And I don't even think a couple of the players like Saka, he didn't even seem to sort of get out of third gear, did he, Saka? He was like, he wasn't playing at his full capacity. And that's one of our most dangerous players. But the football we were playing was superb. And yeah, it's disappointing to get knocked out because you want to win every competition that you're in. But
yeah,
like basically we've come out of this game, and I think every Arsenal fan now, if they were a bit scared of Man City before, I think that they won't be anymore, because I think that we can go toe to toe with them basically. So yeah, I was super calm watching it, enjoyed it. Yeah, just looking forward to the league games now.
Steve, many said that this was a test, another test that Arsenal have had to face against City, sort of an audition or a prelude to the actual Premier League game. Did you get anything out of that game to give you a sort of gauge of where Arsenal are in terms of against Man City, or was that just a cup game and shouldn't really take much notice of it?
No, I think we should take some notice of it. There was elements of of what happened on the night that I think we should. I mean, the first thing I think we should look at is the fact that we made 6 changes, and that was by nowhere near our strongest side. Man City went out there with their 14. and I think, and I thought if you over the 90 minutes, we was the better side. So I think over the season we know what Arsenal are. We know what we're capable of. We go into every game the same. So when we've got F411 out, you can more or less look at the other side and not yourselves, because you can sort of judge them on the way they're playing that night. It was obvious to me that Pep wanted to win that game a lot more than what we did. I think it was said that it was that. I think it was important that they won that, and I don't think it was that important. Obviously, we do want to win, but I don't think it was that important that we actually did win it. We're in a situation now where we've got bigger fish to fry, and obviously Mikel Arteta didn't want to show his full hand. But looking at the actual game, if you're going to go by 11-11, they didn't frighten me. I've got nothing to scare me when they come in at Emirates, and I feel we're the better team. I feel we're better than them. I thought we were better than them on the night with the players that we had out. So when Odegaard's back and Partey's playing the old game and Ramsdale's in goal and Zinchenko's back, and it was almost like Saka was like, I'm not going to show you what I'm about tonight. I'm just going to have a little quiet game over here. But when it comes to the Emirates, I'm going to hit you. Then you're going to know what it's all about. But to be fair, Aki had a good game. So
yeah, Aki was awesome, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He
got
good.
man of the match, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. It was a nice goal as well. He did keep Saka quiet, but
he was
there was a little bit of element of like Saka. Well, I'm not going to show you what I'm about. I'll show you when you come back. But no, I mean, Aki played well. But yeah, I mean, I think we can take him. Going by that night and the fact we never had our team out and they had their full team. The crowd was really quiet, it seemed to me, and all you could hear was Arsenal fans. I think even though we lost the game, I think it was telling, and I think Pep would be worried, even though he won. So yeah, no, I was happy. I was relaxed, like Jerome was. So I'm looking forward to the game, and I think we're the better team, and we should be able to take them at the Emirates.
All right. It's a tough one. Like you said, Manchester City made like near enough no changes from what I can remember. The standard Manchester City changes was just swapping their first team players for other first team players.
Yeah, I think it was a goalkeeper, wasn't it? That was it.
Whereas everyone else brings in a second string team. No, Arsenal made 6 changes, swapped the team around quite a bit in the second half as well, and didn't really ever look like they were a team that had finished 8th 2 seasons in a row. A couple of seasons ago, never looked like they were 25-30 points off the mark, which they probably would have been for the last 2 seasons. It is a definite a gauge from what I saw. Even for all, I know you said you was worried about Rob Holding, but for all, Rob Holding may have looked uncomfortable in his situation with Haaland. Haaland's regarded as the best striker in the world, or one of the best strikers in the world, and he didn't score. And he didn't. Yeah. And yes, he's meant to cause Rob Holding trouble because Rob Holding is their 4th choice defender. So, I look. He's disappointed he went out, but there was some decent performances the other day, and it was annoying. Was it Colton Cole and I can't remember who else it was. They were speaking after. I think it was Rob Cutterell. They were speaking after the game, and they said there could be some benefit to Arsenal going out of this. Catterall even suggested it was a genius move from Mikel Arteta in making so many changes in this team. He said that the worst thing you could have had was a draw and it go to a second leg because Arsenal just don't need these games. They're currently not in Europe at the moment until the latter stages. So they've got a team that's going to be well rested. And you're going to need all the help you can get in terms of going against the Manchester City team who are going to have to play more games and could potentially prioritise Champions League if they start getting into the latter stages of that. So, do you see any of that, Jerome? Do you think that there's some benefits to Arsenal being out of the cup, or do you think no, they've got to keep them going? This is the FA Cup. This is Arsenal. They need to make sure that they respect this trophy.
Oh, is there a benefit? I don't think it's a massive benefit to go out of it. I know obviously it's less fixtures, but you know that's why really you should have like a squad. We haven't got like Champions League games that we got to sort of prepare for. So yeah, mate, I don't think it's I think we'd rather be in the next round, wouldn't we? But yeah, having the replay probably was is ideal that we haven't got a replay. But I think in an ideal world you'd win this game and go on to the next round, because then you got a bloody good chance of winning the whole thing. But yeah, I can see the sort of fixture argument that there's more fixtures, but
Steve, do you see any benefits in going out?
Yeah, a little bit. You know, I mean, less games, less chance of injuries, so that's one thing. And look, the FA Cup, we know we call the FA Cup our cup. We've won it more times than anything, and look, we didn't put a bad team out. It's not like we put an average team out. I mean, it's still full of internationals, and you know, I don't think Arteta would have like expected City to go as strong as he did. So, you know, if Pep had made a few changes, then we probably wouldn't be asked the conversation. And look, I mean, at the end of the day, the two best sides in the country were drawn in the round of the FA Cup. So someone had to go. You know, it had to be us or it had to be them. And we was away at Man City. It was probably the worst draw that you could ever get away to the champions. You can't get a worse draw than that, playing against their full team. So there's that when the game ends, you think, even before the game starts, you think to yourself, well, we could get knocked out here, and there wouldn't be no shame in it, you know. So you can just concentrate, relax, and just see how the fringe players do. But is there a benefit? You don't want to get knocked out, but look, if you're in, you know, we've still got to fight on Europe. We've still got to fight. You know, we're doing the Thursday, Sunday thing. If we're still in the cups, you know, your fixture list gets more heavy. And look, we haven't won the league since 2004.
Yeah.
So I feel we've got any little chance we can to give players rest, then, you know, I don't mind. But like I said, I wanted to go through. But there is a benefit in it. But I didn't want to go out. But as I say, I'm like after on the night of the game, I wasn't that disappointed. I was pleased the way we played, and one of us had to go.
Is that because it was City?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
probably. It was probably a bit of that. Yeah,
because I think if it was a smaller team, I think we might have been having a bit of a word, because you'd probably think that even if you make 6 changes, they're good enough to beat a lower league team. But with it being Man City, it's one of them. It's one of them.
Yeah. I can imagine the players as well, though, because like as you just said, the crowd was absolutely. You couldn't hear anything coming out from Man City. I didn't hear their crowd once, and all you could hear was Arsenal fans. So I think if you're players, then they'd be like, "Oh my God, you know, all we can hear is Arsenal fans at our own ground. God knows what it's going to be like when we go to the Emirates in a couple of weeks. You know, it's going to be crazy." But Yeah, no, I'm good with it. I'm good with it.
So I say, so I says I'm fed up with big teams disrespecting the FA Cup by fielding young, inexperienced starting 11. Nobody respects the FA Cup anymore. I don't know about that. We just said that Manchester City put out a full strength squad. So yeah, look, there's teams that do respect the FA Cup. I think the majority of teams do. I think it's probably more the Carabao Cup that people are that put on the back burner.
I mean, just one thing, mate. I mean, you got an example of Thomas Partey's gone down with rib injury, because he played in that game.
Yeah.
So what if it was a bit of a worse injury and he's out for the next 4 weeks? And then are we going to say about playing a shortened team?
Yeah,
are we going to be glad he played then? Are we?
No, I think you've got to assess where you are in your team. Like in a year's time, 2 years' time, we will have the squad that will be able to compete on all four fronts. Right now, we haven't got the team that can have the let-off is too big right now. The let-off is too wide, which is bringing in the Trossards, which is why we're bringing in international defenders to be backup or competition. Like, we're doing these things now. We're going for the Declan Rices in the summer. We're looking at the Casados, because we don't want the drop-off to be that big. We want it to be competition. We want that one to come in like for like. The same sentiment has been going around about the Europa League. Surely you put out a strength squad when it comes to Europe. Europe's got to be a bit different. What's your thoughts on the Europa League, Steve? Because again, people will say Thursday, Sunday seems to be a bit of a burden for some teams. Personally, I don't know why, because it should be the same amount of days break. But yeah, it's the curse of the Thursday, Sunday.
For me, I would probably think a little bit different from the manager in this one, because I feel it's a European trophy. And for Arsenal to win a European trophy this year, possibly the same year as we may go on to win the title, would be an amazing thing. So from a personal point of view, I feel that we should have a stronger side. But then to caveat that, I switched my brain, and I go back to the same thing, that what if a player gets injured in it, and what if they can't play on the Saturday? Does Partey or Shaq, or do they get into what happens? Okay, we've got Jorginho now. He can come in for Europe. I mean, I'd play Jorginho all day long in the Champions League games. This guy's a Champions League winner. We'll probably talk about him in a minute, but that would be a no-brainer in a minute for me. But and Partey could sit out that one. He probably won't like it. But there's that. But I still think Arteta will go with an half and half side. I can't see him playing the same team Thursday as he's going to be on a Sunday, where you got like a Friday 2-day break. I can't see it. I just can't see it. I'd love it. I want to win a European trophy, but when you look at it like that, you must think to yourself, you don't want them all, the whole 11 playing on a Thursday, and then the whole 11 again playing on a Sunday or a Monday.
Yeah, I think what it is, it's the logistics of the travel, isn't it? It's not the days, it's the travel. Because if you land on a Saturday, you're getting prepared to go to the away ground on the Saturday. Whereas if it's then not. But if you land back from Thursday, you've got to try the day's training on the Friday to do. Jerome, Europa League. Do you see that any different? Do you put out your full strength squad now? Starting to bring in a better level of player on the backup. Is it a case of give run, or do you put out your strongest team and try and win this trophy?
I think this is why he's made a few, or definitely a couple of these signings. I think he's not going to play his 11 that start every week in the Premier League, but what these signings mean is that if you do make a couple of changes, there hopefully won't be too much difference between the Premier League team and the Europa League team. I think that's what he's tried to do with these signings, basically. So yeah, you can't. He's not going to. No team will play the same 11 in Europe and then also in the league. It just won't happen. So I still think we'll do I think he'll take it seriously. yeah, he'll make a couple of changes for sure. Maybe not wholesale ones like what Wenger used to do in the League Cup, but there will definitely be changes. I think there has to be.
And how far do you think you can go in this competition?
Yeah, very, very far. I mean, you look at a couple of the signings we've made and the strength in depth that we've now got in quite a lot of positions. And, we made a few changes, didn't we, against Man City? Look how we did against them. As Arteta says, one of the best teams in the world. And we're not going to be coming up against Man City in the Europa League. It's going to be teams of a lower quality than that. So we got as good a chance as anyone in that competition, even if we do make a few changes each game.
Yeah, I do. It'll all depend on the opposition as well, and who you're coming up against, and who you get drawn against, and who we're playing. I mean, that'll make a little difference to Arteta's thinking. But I mean, I don't know what you both think, but I think morale in the camp is massive, and I think it's something that Arteta wants to keep. So that's why I just feel like I want to see Tierney there. I want to see Tommy Asu play. I want to see Vieira play. Because where are they going to get their minutes otherwise? Where are they going to? Where's Smith Rowe going to get his minutes? How's he going to get more matches? They're not going to. So the Europa League, as much as we want to win it, as much as we want to get there, as much as we want to beat the teams in front of us, I still think we've got to play our squad, as much as possible.
Yeah, no. I do agree with that sentiment. If we look at the teams that I've got the next draw because they've already been drawn. So it looks like Man United have got Barcelona, Juventus, Nantes, Sporting, Michelin, Shakhtar Donetsk, Rennes, Ajax, Union Berlin, Leverkusen versus Monaco, Seville versus PSV, and Salzburg versus Roma. So there's some decent teams that will be going out of that.
Give me Shakhtar Donetsk. I'll have them.
There's some decent teams going out of competition. So I think you're right. Arsenal have a very good chance of doing something in that. Just whether they're taking it serious or not, we will see.
If we get Shakhtar, Steve will run on the pitch and do a 2-footed tackle on the CEO of Shakhtar.
He's going to be a nightmare, that bloke, I tell you, for the last few weeks.
All right.
What a load of old arse he talks and all my life. He's shaking his head. I thought, it's all about this. When backhanders from Chelsea like they usually do.
100%.
Yeah,
clearly, the agent was getting a nice, solid bit of wedge, and he said to him, "Look, you highlight. This is clearly the better club. Champions League. How many Champions League have Arsenal got?" That's what he was saying to him.
Yeah. Don't worry about them being sitting in 10th and Arsenal going on to possibly win the title. Don't worry about all that.
Yeah, and all that nonsense from the CEO saying, it's because Arsenal tapped him up first, so of course his head's going to be turned by that. Of course his head's going to be turned by that. Except for when the Chelsea came in, and then someone asked him that question of whether he was going Chelsea, he said no, Arsenal. So even though he knew Chelsea were courting him, he still said no. But then it's up to them. But we're over it. We move on. And anyway, I'm well happy with Trossard. I'm going to get onto that now.
And just one, did you know? Did you know? I don't know if you knew. Did you know they've arranged the pre-season friendly for after the season?
Yes. Yeah.
Give them the money. Yeah. Apparently they don't.
100%. So Arsenal's transfer window is pretty much wrapped up. I don't see anyone Arsenal bringing any more in. Maybe potentially some players out. But Sam Pilakong, as we spoke about earlier, is on his way. That's a done deal for Crystal Palace. We will be getting onto the outs in a second. But first of all, you'd have to say it's been divided. The initial response from Jacob Kidior was, I don't know who this guy is. However, Robert Lewandowski is giving him a glowing reference. So if he's good enough for Robert, he's good enough for me. The day that I heard that Mudryk was not going Arsenal and he was going Chelsea, me and my mate both sent messages to each other and said, Trossard, we'd love Trossard. 2 days later, Trossard is an Arsenal player. I was absolutely buzzing. And then since he started playing, I couldn't be happier. And Jorginho. Steve sent me a message last night, asked me what my thoughts were on Jorginho. I said I had no thoughts. At that time, I didn't know that he was even close to joining on. But then the dust settles. You have a little think. El Nenny's out. This is my train of thought. El Nenny's out. Is Jorginho a better player than Mohamed El Neni? In every single aspect, I would have to say yes. I don't know what Jorginho's long shots are like. It'd take a lot to beat El Neni's, but let's just say, for argument's sake, they're on par. Champions League winner, Europa League winner, European Cup winner with Italy, scored the winning penalty against England. The last time Arsenal were linked with this player, the same noises came out from the same people. And then we saw how good Jorginho was. So, little thoughts on this. Steve, what's your thoughts on Arsenal's business this January?
It's definitely for me an 8 out of 10. I'd say it was if I'd given it a marks out of 10. I think the whole free transfers have been the sort of master strokes from Arteta. We know Trossard, we know Jorginho. We don't know too much about Jacob Flurry, but what I've been hearing from the people I've been talking to, he's a top prospect. And again, like I said, if Mikel Arteta says he's good enough for Arsenal, then he's good enough for Arsenal for me. So yeah, I mean Trossard, fantastic. You know, we see him in his first game, absolutely brilliant. 27 million pound, proven, 28 years old, still got a good 5 years in him. Quick, fast, can play on the left, play on the right. Mudryk, we don't know, do we? You know, I think if you look at the two and you think about what's the best one to go through towards the title, who can win you the title, I don't think that's Mudryk for me. I think you've got someone who's Premiership ready, excellent at Brighton, and yeah, and look, I mean Jorginho, I think it's a great signing. I really do. He's got absolutely pelters online today on Twitter. Jorginho has absolute pelters, and they got that right. I mean, you know, people got their opinions, but for me, 10 million. You've already said most of it there, Kears. I mean, £10 million, £2 million in add-ons. I think it's up until 2024, and then he's got we got him for another year option. The perfect player if some party goes down injured or Xhaka comes down injured. He can play in the 6, he can play in the 8. He's done there, won it, got the T-shirt, got the medals, Premier Leagues, FA Cups. Yeah, was you know when he was playing in the European Championships. I mean, he was outstanding, absolutely outstanding. If
I think that's a little bit of a wake up call to a lot of Arsenal fans that actually bloody hell, this geezer.
He was incredible, and he got player of the tournament. You know, I had a look at his Wikipedia today to see what he's won, and he's won the player of the tournament, and he was getting touted for Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, he was. Didn't he get 3 nominations for that?
Yeah, I mean, I think they won the title. He won the European this, and he was outstanding. And whatever he did was turn into gold. So for someone to play in our Europa League games, for someone to come in, you know, if we do go down with an injury, or someone to even give party a rest after 60 minutes, 70 minutes, if he's tiring, you can just bring him on. He's experienced. He knows there. He never loses the ball. He's excellent on the ball. His passing is immaculate. I mean, for me, I really don't see the stick that this guy's got today. 31 years old. I mean, anyone would think like he's 45 years old or something. By the way, like some people are going on. But I think it's a great signing. Yeah, I over the moon with it.
He also won, is that men's player of the year in the Champions League when they won the Champions League?
Yeah,
I just seen a picture of him with a trophy. With the trophy.
Yeah. And Chelsea fans are gutted. They're like, what? Because they was like, I'm watching Sky today. You know, everybody's been bigging him up. They've had people from Chelsea on saying, well, I can't believe it. You know, Arsenal sold him to their rivals. This is madness. You know, giving him Jorginho. I mean, he's just, it's a replacement for someone who goes down injured. He's just perfect. He's just the perfect signing. And they haven't paid. Well, they've paid a cup of tea for him. You know, as Paul Merson says. So, yeah, I mean, I'm really pleased. I think it's a great signing. I can't wait for him to get, and he can take a good penalty and all.
Jerome, Trossard for 26 million, 21 up front. Jorginho for 10, 12 with add-ons for 2. And a young up-and-coming Polish defender. Your thoughts on Arsenal's transfer business this window?
Well, Kiwior, the defender, it's tough to really talk about him too much because he's coming with a proper clean slate, isn't he? He hasn't played in England before. Yeah. So it's hard to really discuss him, but he seems like a promising player. Trossard and Jorginho, however, they're a lot more interesting because although we don't know the ins and outs, they probably weren't, I don't believe, our first choice signings in either position. And that's happened a lot where we haven't got the first choice that we wanted initially. Trossard, I think the early signs look really positive. The fact that he can play anywhere across the front is obviously of massive benefit, and it wasn't a huge fee, and he's hit the ground running. Jorginho, when I first heard about it, I wasn't entirely sure, to be honest. I had my sort of negative doubts. I think mainly because of the association of buying players sort of over 30 from Chelsea's. He's sort of been tarnished with that brush because we've bought a couple of players from there in the past, right near the end of their career, and it hasn't turned out fantastically well. Obviously, Willian being the sort of standout example. So you put him together with that. But when you actually look at it and you think, look, he's not going to be at Arsenal for 4 or 5 years. He's basically a stopgap signing, isn't he? He's a stopgap signing. And I know Steve mentioned he can play a couple of different positions in midfield. I think he's going to be purely the player that plays in Partey's position when Partey doesn't play. And I think the way Arteta sets us up, I think there's very few players in world football that can play that role. You can put someone there, you can put anyone there, but in terms of being able to play that position with experience of playing that position, playing the ball on the ground, constantly passing it, keeping the ball ticking over, I think the more I think about it, it's not too bad. I think for me it's a little. I don't want to sound too negative because I think, like Steve said, I think it is a positive signing, but we're going to have to do some major surgery to our midfield soon, aren't we? Depending on how Lokonga gets on.
Well, that's no brainer. Yeah, they will.
So yeah,
I think it's a little. Without saying too negative again, I think it's a little bit like kicking the midfield can down the road a little bit. So I think we're going to need 2 big central midfield signings eventually. Maybe there'll be one in the summer and one in the following summer. So that's fine. But I think I don't know if you've seen Arteta's comments. They've only just come out. But when he was asked about him, the first word he mentioned was intelligence. And Cucurella there was a video today of Cucurella, and someone asked him who's the most intelligent, like in the side, and straight away he said Jorginho. I think that plays a massive part in what Arteta wants, especially from that midfield position.
Just another thing I just wanted to add. I think like we're talking about, as Jerome's absolutely right. This signing here has got absolutely no bearing on what we're going to do in the summer. Absolutely none whatsoever. If there was another midfield player available now for 70 million, we would have bought him now and Jorginho. We would have bought Coutinho and Jorginho. That's the way it's been coming across to me today. That's the sort of the noises that I've been giving out. But I think what Jorginho is, and the reason I think Arteta's bought in for me because of the length of the contract, the fact that it's a year, and also an option as well. He's bought Jorginho to go and win the title.
Mm. Yeah,
he's bought him for just that reason. He's bought him for that reason, and the fact that he's thinking, if one of my boys midfield players goes in, I mean, Jerome's right. Ideally, he would play in Partey's position, and for me, I wouldn't have a problem with that, playing in Partey's position, because the geezer's played in that position his whole life, and he's won everything under the sun.
Yeah.
So we can't. But I think he's just someone who's been brought in to win the title. Someone this season, because we ain't won it for so long, and we're in that position. Right? Who's experienced? Who knows it? Done it? Got the t-shirt? Can hit the ground running? Boss.
Yeah.
Jorginho.
I spoke about this before because I said I wonder where Arsenal are going to go with regards to who they're going to bring in, because I do with the amount of youngsters we were bringing in and the profile of player that we're talking about bringing in and the ones that we're going. I was worried that we're lacking experience. We're lacking experience. We've got experience on the field there and then, Partey, Xhaka, but other than that, you're lacking experience past that. So that's what I was saying before. Do we go? Because I was talking about a striker or a winger. Do we go out and buy a striker or a winger who's not the end of his career? Because it always makes it sound bad, but he's just more experienced. He's 30, 31. So they've got a couple of years left at the top of their game. Not necessarily going in and buying another 20-year-old, 21-year-old who's going to get impatient, who's looking in front of him, sees two 21-year-olds in front of him, sees a 25-year-old in front of him, and doesn't see a path through. And then you start getting the itchy feet, didn't you? And then people start making noises behind the scenes. So when I saw Trossard, I was buzzing. And then when I actually thought about it with Jorginho, I think it's a perfect signing. I was getting put off by Caicedo because once it got past 60 million, I was just like, what,
he's not worth that, is he?
Good. I wouldn't put him at 60 million. I'm not because that
Kieran,
to me was like, go on.
The thing is, if we had a game tomorrow and he had to play someone instead of Partey, is there like
Caicedo or Jorginho?
Yeah, is there like a £50 million difference between those two in terms of who would you rather play tomorrow?
I played Jorginho. Look, and this is the thing. People were getting upset, and I'll ask you why in a sec. People getting upset, and then I saw someone's tweet, and they said, "Is Jorginho than Caicedo right now?" Yes, he is. And I was like, "Is Jorginho better than Elneny right now?" Yes, he is. So it's an upgrade. It's 100% upgrade what we've bought in there, and it is a shrewd bit of business. 12 million to potentially, hopefully, push you over the line to win the Champions League or the Premier League with an experienced Italian international who is very highly regarded in football. And yes, he could definitely play the Partey position, but with his range of passing, and we saw what he done in the European Championship, he was absolutely outstanding, especially in that final. His range of passing is he could definitely create chances and sit next to Partey as well, or sit next to a Granit Xhaka. There's also, options there, and it's good. It's very exciting. It's very exciting, especially when we're talking about still going after Rice. For the signing of Jorginho, there was never any doubt that Arsenal was still going for Rice, because Rice is a long-term signing, and in my head it would be Elneny's potentially going to get moved on. And then you've got Jorginho for another year with another year option. Whereas Elneny's only got a year, or has an option for that year. I don't know what he's got in his contract, whether he got a 2-year deal or if he got a year and an option. But yeah, it makes sense to. There's one in, one out. It might be sad because he's highly respected in the team. He brings a lot in the changing rooms. He's a great person to have around the squad. Like, I think people don't underestimate what that is. But at the moment, sorry, mate, you've been upgraded, and I think he's a little bit younger than him as well. So because Jorginho literally just turned 31 on December the 30th, 30 like that. So yeah, look, I think it's a great bit of business. Jerome, what rating would you give Arsenal on the ins?
Yeah, Steve said 8, didn't he? It's hard to disagree with that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Obviously, they probably didn't get their first choice. If they got their first choice, it would have been maybe probably a 9.
And the Casade, potentially.
The only slight thing is if El Nene's out for the season and Lokonga's, as we say, has gone to Palace, and we've only bought in 1, could we be 1 light in there? But I don't know. Hopefully not. But I think the quality of that midfield now is better than what it was before the transfer window in terms of pure quality.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Can I ask though? Like, we missed out on Madrid, right? We all know that was a bit dodgy, and they Brighton just simply put their stance from more or less the beginning that he wasn't coming. But if we had bought them, right, or we had the choice of getting Madrid, someone said to you, well, Madrid and Casido's there, and it's going to cost us 150 odd million, right? Yeah. And then you've got Jorginho and Trossard sitting there, which is going to cost you not even 40 million.
Yeah.
30, yeah, right. And you say, who do you want to go and help you out to go and win the title? Them or them? That. I'm going Jorginho and Trossard. I'm saying, no, I don't. The football connoisseur would say Jorginho and Trossard.
But I think it's more like your initial thought. You're thinking, well, Modric can say like the young bucks up and coming, but it's exactly that. They're up and coming. They've not been in these situations before. They've played combined. They've played 40 games around 40 games in their first team. Casado was on loan in Belgium last season, and he's currently played 18 games in the Premier League this season. So this is where my issue with the 60 million, 70 million, 80 million talk was coming from. And it's the same with Modric. I can't get over the fact how much I like Trossard. I've been raving about him secretly for about 2 or 3 seasons now. As soon as I saw him in the Premier League, I got something. He was a bit slow. He was a bit like not up with the pace of the game when he first came in. But last season, hit. And then this season, he's hit the ground running. So I really like Trossard. And I think it's a great bit of business. I agree. I'd give it a 7, but I'd give Trossard a 7 on his own. I don't know what this young Polish player's like. And then look, if we break it down with Jorginho, I'm not adverse to an 8. So 7, 8 is I think it's a fair shout.
I think like you got to add on to that as well for our January visit. I think it's a fantastic move that we've sent the Conga out on loan to Palace and Marquinhos out to Norwich.
Hold on, Steve. Hold on.
You should tell me the itinerary before we start.
You've ruined my itinerary. As I was just about to say, Marquinhos has gone on loan to Norwich and Sambi Lokonga's gone on loan to Crystal Palace. Steve, I'll ask you first.
Yes.
What's your thoughts on these two? One's gone to a championship team and one's gone to a Premier League team. I think it kind of works out perfectly.
I think it's a fantastic. I think Arsenal have done fantastically well, and Arteta's just done a great job in putting the two back on loan. They both need it. They've both gone to Norwich. Is a great club. And Crystal Palace is also a really good club. I don't know who the manager at Norwich is. I can't. Maybe
it's
one of
David
you guys.
Wagner.
Oh, it's David Wagner. Oh, well,
yeah.
I mean, he's an experienced manager, isn't he? So, it's a good place for him to go. And Lokonga's off to Palace, and I think it's going to help both of them, massively, because I feel that we haven't seen the best of either of them, and I think we all know, including Arteta, that these two players have got a lot of quality and they've got something about them, and doing what they're doing now by just playing 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, they're not going to improve. So yeah, get them out on loan, and let's see what they're made of. It's going to be interesting to see what the Conga does in the Premier League, and obviously I'll be keeping an eye out on Marquinhos. I'm glad they're staying in this country, because I think they'll learn more in this country. Championships, a good league to sort of learning. So yeah, I think it's great, and that was part of my marking for how much in the window. I think because this added to the people that have come in. I think it's great. And
is Cedric deal close or done?
Yeah, Cedric's still close. There's still a few things that's got to be ironed out on that. So it's getting a bit close towards the deadline. We've got another couple of hours, but yeah, look, from what I can take out, that will get done.
Right, cool. I think, was there another team after him, or is it just they just got to tidy up a few things?
No, I haven't heard about it. No, unless you have. I may be saying I've missed that if there's someone else after him. But no, and again with Cedric, he's not getting. He's been great. He's been good for us. He's never let us down. But you got Tommy Ashew there now, and you've got Ben White now out on that right. So yeah, the best thing is to move him on.
Yeah, no, definitely. And what would you have given the outs if you give it an individual score?
Outs to an individual score, I think it's a 10, mate. I think it's fantastic bit of business.
All right. Would you have sent anyone else on loan? Is there anyone else in the team you think could have done with some game time?
Top of my head. No, I mean we've got Reece Nelson there, but I think he's injured, isn't he?
Yeah, he's injured.
But we may need him. But no, I think there's, I think that we're okay. I think we need everybody else. These are the two, the quality. These are the two that need, that we know's got needs game time more than anybody else. I think.
Yeah. For me, Reece he's done his time on loan. If ever if Reece goes on loan, for me that says goodbye. Jerome, Marquinhos to Norwich, Championship team, play football. They play decent football, and Sammy Lokonga off to Crystal Palace with our old man Patrick Vieira. Your thoughts?
Yeah, probably both playing at the right sort of level. I think we probably couldn't afford to send anyone else out of the squad. It's it's quite a thin squad as it is. So I think if you had to hand pick 2 or 3, then these are probably the ideal people. I think he's got it spot on, Arteta, with these. Marquinhos was never going to play in the Premier League really this season, so might as well be playing football. And Lokonga, hasn't had enough minutes, so keeping him in London under Vieira, perfect. It's probably the ideal scenario, really.
Yeah. No, I agree. I was when I heard that Marquinhos, I think it's a perfect team. Like I said, they play football, and especially the Championship. They're not ones that will just try and punt the ball up and hold it up, and they will actually play. And just hopefully he gets plenty of game time. And look, Sammy Lokonga going to work with Patrick Vieira. I think Steve mentioned it earlier. What's his name? Getting game time. Conor Gallagher getting game time under Patrick Vieira, and then getting the best out of him. So it's an exciting time to see.
With Marquinhos as well, if he plays on the right wing for Norwich, he'll be playing in front of Max Aarons, and he's like a nice footballer, isn't he? So hopefully
Yes.
that you know, hopefully
He's one that gets up and down the pitch as well, so that would work with what we're trying to do. They do play with attacking fullbacks. What's your rating on that one? What's your ratings on the outs?
I'll go 7. 7.
7. You hush.
7. All right. So before we go, touch on this. The man behind me here, Florent Balogun. He's been absolutely on fire this season. He scored 11 goals. He got 2 assists in 19 games, and that has currently put him, I think, 3rd in the scoring charts now. I think he just overtook Alexandre Lacazette on the weekend. Jerome, you saw the goal that Balogun scored. Very well composed, taking it around Donnarumma, put through. But it wasn't the only time he was put through. He's put through multiple times. He was stressing out the PSG defence, pull off an absolute weldy to push over the bar. Nearly he won a penalty, but if it was offside, he's absolutely on fire at the moment, Jerome.
Yeah, I'll tell you what stood out for me with his goal is that, well, a couple of things really. Firstly, it's basically the last kick of the game. So he's played the whole game. He must be absolutely knackered because a lot of the game you're obviously sort of chasing the defence, trying to win the ball. So you're not really getting too many touches. He must have been absolutely knackered. He's been put through against arguably one of the best goalies in the world, big old unit Donnarumma, and it's not an easy finish. That he made it look easy. And if you would have watched the goal, not knowing the minute, you'd have thought that's early on in the game sometime because he looked so sharp and fresh doing it. So that was amazing.
Yeah, he had a lot of time to think about it as well, which is usually a worry.
Yeah, honestly, he made it look easy. Just something else which is quite interesting. Have you heard about their coach, Ramsey's coach, the story with him?
No, but they've been unbeaten since he's come in, haven't they?
Right. So this guy, I think he's only 30 years old, right? He's not even a qualified man. He's not a qualified coach. So every game they get fined about 22,000 euros. Yeah, but they've been on such a good run. Like they're just paying this fine every game. It's an amazing story, honestly. It
is, and it is good to see. Also, Balogun said a few things that will please Arsenal fans. Balogun called Arsenal his family during a recent interview and dropped a hint about his future against PSV by copying one of Henry's iconic celebrations for France in his heyday. Balogun spoke to Henry before the game and paid tribute to him, leaning on the corner flag after his goal, then posted the picture of Henry doing the same celebration on social media and added, "I spoke to Titi before the game. It was only right to show my respect." Before the game, Balogun told L'Equipe, "Arsenal is my family. For me, the club represents brotherhood and unity. Therefore, I learned to always push my limits. I remember from training a permanent desire to show progress in his technical level." He speaks about doing kick-ups for 40 minutes before each game, which he does. Doesn't let the ball touch the floor. He's learning so much, Arsenal. This guy's not leaving. This guy sees his future at Arsenal, and it's exciting to see because I feel like he could be the third choice option up front when he comes back in the new season. It's good. Balogun doing well in France, eh, Steve?
Oh, that's fantastic, man. I mean, I haven't kept a breath of it like probably you two guys have, but I mean, it's fantastic, and it's lovely to read him words. He's obviously got a lot of love for Arsenal, and yeah, I mean, what he seems to be doing, he seems to be mirroring Saliba, doesn't he? You know, on what he did out in France. Again, big up to Arteta for for picking the club and putting them in the right place. You know, you've got to mention them two for that there. And he's thriving through it, and he's probably very thankful to them because we wasn't really seeing him in the Premier League. We'd seen him in like the under 23s, and you know we thought he was pretty tasty, didn't we? You know, he was scoring for fun, but he was miles too good for them. You know, he was just too good for that. And then he just wasn't getting the game time when he was every now and then when he was in the squad.
No, he wasn't getting the game time every now and again. He was good, but he did get Europa League games. He showed a little bit of class in the Europa League games, but the golfing quality was not to say how good he was. Go on, carry on, Steve. Oh no, and your mic has gone now. I thought it was back. Yeah, no, the mic has gone. Yeah, no, Balogun is when he came in, he did look good. He did look sharp. But when I think what game was it? I think it was against Nottingham Forest he played, and he started, and he didn't look too clever in that one. And I think in another game he started against a much lower league team, and he had a couple of chances and didn't score. And you could see that he needed game time. Went on loan to Middlesbrough in the second half of last season. He had a good spell, didn't score the goals, but he played well. And that's when Arteta said they'd made a mistake and they should have let him go on loan from the start of the season. So the season and it seems to be paying off. Cool. Yeah. So they've done it this season and it seems to be paying off. Balogun is getting the fruits by going out on loan from the start of the season, getting settled and knowing where he's at, knowing that this is his team for the season. He's got to do everything he can to get into this team and progress. What was you saying just before, Steve?
Yeah, I was just going to end it on that. You were talking earlier on about whether talking about people staying on loan. I think this could possibly be one of them. Keep him out there for another season. He's on fire. Keep him in France. Keep him at Rennes. Let him keep improving, getting better and better. Because if he carries on this trajectory, he could become something special, and because of what we thought of when we was in the under 23s. So I would say keep him out, because again, if he came back, find it very difficult to see where he would play at this stage. So just develop him, and then bring him back maybe the year after.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Jerome, what about if a club from the Championship came up and they were looking for a striker? Would you potentially send him out on loan to a team in the Premier League if he had an opportunity there?
Yeah, possibly. I don't see why not. I think just something else to mention is that he's done both him and Nketiah really have done their value no harm at all.
Yeah.
Like when you score a last-minute equaliser against PSG, I know it's not the winner, but like people notice, and when you're scoring goals, like that's something that every team wants to have. It's like a rare commodity, a goal scorer. So his value now, whatever it was before his loan, it's increased massively. Same with Nketiah. So yeah.
How many goals is it Hugo Ekitike score went for Reims last season? And Newcastle were looking to pay whatever amount for them. So Balogun got a goal ratio or goal contribution ratio of 1.2, one every other game, which for any striker is very good stats. So long may this continue. And the other one is obviously Charlie Patino or Arsenal trying to tie it down on a longer term deal, on a proper deal. He's currently did extend his contract to 2025, but that was just the standard menial trigger and want to really sit down with him and discuss a proper contract which he can sink his teeth into and not worry about his money, and he can concentrate on his football. Yeah,
they're doing that at the end of the season. I've been told that they're going to be sitting down with him at the end of the season.
Yeah, all right. At the end of the season, Charlie Patino, another prospect Arsenal should get excited about. Johnny, where you been? We're just about to go. Thank you for everyone who's joined us tonight. Thank you for joining us, Johnny. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, Simon. In the comment section, appreciate that, mate. If you are a regular for the show, press that like. You best to press that like. Press the copy button and the share button, the copy button. Yeah, works the same as actually sharing it. If you are new to the show, press that like, press that subscribe button. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, Steve.
Cheers, mate. Pleasure.
All right, and thank you very much for joining us tonight, Jerome.
Yeah, of course. Cheers. Thanks.
All right, peace out, people. Stay safe and wash your hands.